Shoes incorporating Gore Tex technology have been popping up over the last year or two to produce shoes that stop water droplets from getting in but let water vapour out, keeping your foot dry yet also cool. Gore Tex lined hiking and performance boots have been available for a while now from brands such as Salomon, but it's starting to make its way into lifestyle and running shoes now, given its prominence in streetwear and techwear. Last year, Nike released an outdoor-focused Air Force 1 rework using the Gore Tex lining, and they've had another go this year, with new highs and also some lows. The lows have had some marginal changes and some new colours, but the design for the high has been completely changed. I have here a pair of the highs in this phantom white colourway, and that's what we're going to have a look at today. It's interesting how they tried something different last year, but have seemingly rolled that back with something that's much more traditional to the normal shape and size of an Air Force 1. You can see that on last year's model, the panelling design was completely new. It looks like a snowboarding shoe to me, or something that you would go snowboarding with, I guess. But this one, it's far more like an Air Force, really. It's like if the last year was a rework, this is just an upgrade. I mean, there's a slightly larger midsole section with this ridge around the side, but apart from that, from first looks, it's very similar. As for the actual construction, the whole upper is made from this really nice, slightly tumbled leather. The only parts that aren't are the tongue, laces, and inner lining. It definitely feels thicker than what you'd expect to find in a normal Air Force, and you would hope so, really. What I like about this tumbled leather is that the pattern only really becomes obvious when you start creasing it. When you start using the shoe and it starts conforming, the creases start forming, and that sort of brings out the pattern, and you can really see the difference between somewhere where there's not as much creases, like at the back here, and somewhere where there's a lot of creases, like on this toe cap panel and along the toe box itself. I think this will produce a really nice dynamic pattern after you've used it for months, years, and yeah, it'll develop nicely across the shoe, while you'll have a more obvious pattern at the front and a much more, I mean, if you go further away here, you can't really see the pattern at all, and I think that's a really nice feature. The leather swoosh is also layered on top of this slightly larger reflective 3M swoosh, which is a pretty nice extra detail. The toe box has no aeration holes for obvious reasons and uses the same indentation design that the past year's one did. Another thing that emphasises the ruggedness are the seams between the panels. For most joints, the leather's been folded underneath before being stitched, and I think this is to increase the water resistance, but I also think it contours the panels in a really unique way that you don't really see on any other models. But as for water resistance, this should prevent water from being able to seep in through the edge of the leather grain, and yeah, just an extra precaution to keep your feet dry. The tongue is also gusseted, which means it's permanently stitched to the upper with this sort of flap underneath, which means that there's a physical barrier between the outside of the shoe and inside of the shoe. It can't get in through the sides of the tongue, which is really good. Most hiking boots have this, and it's nice to see them integrate it into a lifestyle oriented shoe. And then there is the main feature, the Gore Tex itself. The lining goes all the way around the inside of the shoe and about up to where the tip of the swoosh is, so that gives you about 10 centimeters of water protection if you plan on stepping in any 10 centimeter deep puddles, I guess. The inside of the tongue is also lined, but it only lines the gusseting up to about here on the shoe, but the gusset still continues up to here, but it's not lined with Gore Tex anymore. This means that the only place I can really see water getting in is just above where the gusseting stops, about where this eye stay has its kink. Just like a regular Air Force high or mid, there's this canvas strap, except this one has a rubber back to it for extra ruggedness points, I guess. The laces are tonal, and I think that's quite nice, although they do get dirty quite easily, and because they're slightly off-white, I can't get extra pairs of ones because I don't know how I'm going to find this colour really. Also, another thing to note is that the strap is supposed to be removable. I mean, it does move around. You can, in theory, take it out, but I don't want to because it'll be really hard to feed this little plastic ring back through again. I mean, I've seen some people wear it with the strap dangling. I think that's a bit whack, to be honest. But if you really hate it that much and you want to remove it, you can. but I just think it'll be a lot of bother putting it back in if you decide that you do actually want it on. To be completely honest, there's so many other steps to prevent water ingress that you start to question whether the Gore Tex lining is really even necessary at this point. I mean, you have the gusset, you have the folded over seams, and the massive midsole that is just a whole inch of water not being able to get in. But I think it's necessary as a sort of like a cherry on top type thing. Like, you wouldn't want to spend all this money and then not have the full package. That being said, the £160 price tag might be able to go a bit lower without the Gore Tex, because that definitely accounts for a decent amount of it. But I don't know, I think if you're going to do a winter boot, you might as well do it right. And having Gore Tex lining in there is just a good peace of mind, really. I don't really know why they changed the design so much. I mean, it's practically a U-turn from what they did last year. Maybe it wasn't selling very well and they wanted something that they thought would be a more sure bet. Maybe they just wanted to go for this hiking boot, Timberland, maybe even Doc Martin like shape, really. And they thought that maybe what they did last year would be better suited for a ACG Nike Lab type thing rather than just a normal promo shoe. But overall, I'm quite pleased with the aesthetic of this shoe. I think it has its foot in quite a lot of camps, to be honest. The Gore Tex lining and the thicker overall construction do provide real functionality, as well as some subtle changes to the classic silhouette with the outlined panels and this little 3M bit. But the fact that it doesn't look overly technical or overly modern means it still has that jack of all trades quality that you come to expect from Air Forces. I mean, there's a reason they're one of the most popular shoes. They just work with anything, and I think this still has that quality. It still works with anything, it's just a bit bigger. And the more rugged aspects of it, like the strap and the massive sole, they will make it suit some tech wear, some military fits better than a regular one would, but they won't look out of place when you just put on some joggers, I think.
Anyway, that's enough about what they look like. What are they like to wear? Well, these aren't actually the original pair that I bought. I first bought a pair of size 11s thinking that the Gore Tex lining and the thicker leather would make up for the normally roomy fit you get on Air Forces, but I was wrong. These are massive. Compared to a size 11 shoe that I already have, they dwarf them. I mean, I had to go half size down, and even then it only really fits my left foot great because my left foot's slightly bigger. I feel like I could go a whole nother half size down on my right foot, but you can't really get 10.5 one foot, 10 size the other foot. And I feel like going size 10 on my left foot would be a bit of a gamble. But if your foot are normal sizes, you could go a whole size down and it would be the snug fit. As for breaking in, it's kind of like school shoes in the sense that they're really uncomfortable for the first few days, and then they eventually soften up and start conforming to your foot. I mean, it took a couple of days for the left foot because it fits better, but the right foot took about a week for it to crease in the right places. I remember around the ankle there was this really weird pressure point that was hurting a bit when I was walking on it. Like when you would lift your foot, it would hurt around here, but it's fine now. It's been about a week. It's all conformed to my foot now, I'd say. As for how to get them comfortable, I found that doing the laces up doing the laces up loosely and then tightening the strap up to however much you need is the way to go, because it's just really finicky to get it right, because it depends how you like your boots, really. I found that especially on my right foot, the natural places where it's supposed to crease aren't quite right because it's not the right size, so I had to loosen the shoes quite a lot to get it to bend in the right place. As for dirt protection, I mean, I wanted to find some nice park to film this outside bit in, but I live in Leeds, so this is what you get. But I mean, I'm hoping this dirt is just going to wipe off. It's what I've had before. We've had snow quite recently, and I went out yesterday in the snow, and the snow just wiped off. The water just wiped off. My feet are completely dry. Everything's working as it's supposed to, really. Yeah, only problem that I have is the laces get slightly dirty because they're not Gore Tex or anything, but you can just clean them. Yeah, I mean, there's no mesh on the shoe like there are on the lows, so there's nowhere for it to get trapped. Although it might possibly be a bit difficult to get out of the seams where the leather's folded over, just because of the way it's made. But I'll just get a brush in there, I guess. Yeah, my favourite thing about wearing these shoes is definitely the stability, because there's such a massive platform that you could just plonk your foot down, and I just got a bit dirty there, so. But you can just put them you could just go through anything. You feel really, really secure in these shoes, really locked in. And yeah, I'm pretty happy.
I guess that's all the content there is to cover about this shoe. All that's left to say is, do I recommend them? I think if anyone's looking for a more traditional winter boot and likes the Air Force shape in general, I think you really can't go wrong. I think as soon as I saw these, I picked them up because I've been looking for a winter boot for ages now, and the fact that it has the Gore Tex lining and it sort of has that certification of waterproofness in a way, and I've been looking for something especially in a colour like this ever since I saw the Cold War Converse collab. So as soon as I saw this in this white colour, I knew I had to get it. And it's nice to have something that's a bit more durable. I mean, the outdoor section I actually filmed that first, and you saw how muddy they got, and I won't lie, that did make me die inside a bit when I was out there. But when I got back, I literally ran them under the tap, and you wouldn't notice. There's no mud left on there, and they're completely dry and everything. I just gave it a quick scrub, to be honest, and it just came right off. If this doesn't sound like something you need, then the £160 price tag might be quite difficult to justify, especially since you don't really get that much difference to a regular Air Force. But if you only want that water resistance, you can go for the lows, which are very faithful to the original Air Force. I mean, I think you'd have even more difficulty telling those apart from the regular ones. I mean, if it weren't for the Gore Tex branding, they would just look normal. But they are still slightly more expensive than regular Air Force lows, so I think what will be really interesting to see is what Nike decides to do with this model next year, because they've already established a cycle of yearly releases for this Air Force One Gore Tex line, and they've gone back to their roots, I guess, with this design. So they have a lot of headroom to play with next year if they decide to do something a bit more wild like we did the first time around. This niche market factor, I think, is probably most of the reason why these boots are just currently sitting at retailers. Both the black and olive pairs are released on sneakers, and they only sold out in the weird sizes like 14 and 12 and the slightly bigger ones that don't have much stock. And they were on the Nike website just sitting for a while, and I think that's really an achievement for shoes that release on sneakers, because they always sell out no matter what, really. And I think that was a combination of the price tag and also it just isn't for everyone, this type of shoe, really. But what's also very interesting is this colorway in particular was silently released to the Nike website, not on sneakers. So as of saying this, they're all sizes are still in stock on the website. And to be honest, I think this color is much better than the other two, because I don't really like gum soles. I think this white one is much better than gum. And they're all, I mean, I had time to go and get this sent back. I was a bit worried that they'd be out of stock by the time I sent them back, but 1 week later, they're still all in stock. I mean, I could go and send these back for a size 10 if I really wanted, but as I said, it might not fit my left foot very well. But all in all, this shoe has definitely won me over. If you're in the market for a winter boot and you feel like trying something different and not going just for a Timberland or whatever, I would 100% recommend this. Just be a bit careful with the sizing because they're big. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know. I really plan on giving this a fair go. So if you think there's anything I can do better, please let me know, because you can only get better as you do more. Yeah, so if you want to subscribe. If you want to leave a like, if you think it was good enough for that, then please do. I do have some more videos planned, but I will need to go and do some more work to be able to afford some more clothes if I want to review them. But yeah, that's all from me.